Vision Communications Incorporated, its management, or advertisers. Vision Communications Incorporated is not responsible for the validity or accuracy of information presented on this program.
Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Norm Shealy and Dr. Shealy-Sorin. Get the health answers you need from the creator of holistic medicine and the 2020 Holistic Doctor of the Year. To be a part of the show, call 417-447-1777. Wellness Wednesday. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Norm Shealy and Dr. Shealy-Sorin.
And good afternoon. It's another week of our celebrating our upcoming golden anniversary. And each week we are having a special, and we've got great winners for next week. They will be announced, after we announced last week's winners. Today we are going to concentrate on the world's best treatment, the best in the world, for addiction, sleep, anxiety, and depression, as well as many other things. But it is better than all the psychologists, all the psychiatrists, and all the mood drugs in the world combined. Gamma PEMF. But first now, I would really like to mention our winners from last week's contest. Full access to every online course from the Shealy-Sorin Wellness Center. Christy Melgoza, Melgoza. Congratulations. Winner number 2, Michelle Clifford. Access to any course of her choice from our site. So thank you, ladies, for being with us. And now, for next week, I'll tell you what we're going to have. A grand prize. One winner will get a 30-minute free consultation with me and a holistic health optimization pack, which consists of 1 youth formula, 1 essentials, 1 magnesium lotion, and a full set of 5 bliss oils to set you on the right direction. Prize number 2 is, just the holistic health optimization pack containing 1 youth, 1 essentials, 1 magnesium, and all 5 of the bliss oils. So the winners will be announced next week, and each Wednesday we will have another one. Always here. Make sure you've joined our Facebook group and download our 7 steps to stress-free living. And don't forget, folks, we talk frequently about the things you need to stay healthy. And there are 2 of them that are at the top of the list. All kinds of supplements, which we go into later as necessary. But the place in Springfield, and there's only one that we recommend, Spring Valley Natural Foods. Why do I recommend them? Because of service. I have been in the other stores, and I walked out twice. I can't find anything. I could spend a day trying to find stuff in 10,000 items. I'm supposed to find it for myself. I mean, come on. I walk in and I say, hey, I'd like A, and they find it for me. Mm-hmm. Spring Valley. They carry, of course, all of our goodies, our essentials, our youth formula, our magnesium lotion, our 5 bliss oils, but thousands of other goodies. Spring Valley Natural Foods. And, of course, the other thing that at least conservatively 90% of Americans need, nature-blessed tart cherry juice concentrate. 2 tablespoons, 1 ounce of this marvelous formula gives you the equivalent of 3.5 servings of the best fruits and vegetables in the world. The average American is only getting 2.2, so you can at least bring you up to a minimum by adding nature-blessed tart cherry juice concentrate. Lowers your blood pressure, lowers your cholesterol, anti-inflammatory, and it tastes good. But only in the produce department at real grocery stores. To my knowledge, there may be only one store in town that has a real grocery store.
Perhaps,
however, Nature Blessed, my favorite, it should be yours. So let's talk about PEMF, P-E-M-F. It's been around for 25 or 30 years. There are many, many devices. One of them brags that it is the number 1 seller of its PEMF devices in the world. Well, we tested it, and it does put you to sleep. If you don't mind falling asleep any old time of day, it does not put you into gamma. Gamma is in the zone. It is free. Who cares about stuff you can't change? It is the state everybody needs to be in 99 hours a day today. And it is the only known device for treating opioid addiction.
Mm-hmm.
We have now going on 4 years of total freedom from long-standing opioid addicts. 4 years. When we had a child last year, which you couldn't have possibly done safely before that. Interestingly, when we published the data, it is published in Practical Pain Management, an excellent study. I sent information to the directors of prison of Missouri, Arkansas, and Kansas, figuring I could meet with it if they were interested. They wrote back, "We're not interested. We only use drugs." Well, let me tell you how good drugs are.
Terrible.
If you're lucky and have the best people in the world working with you, you have about a 15% chance of using drugs to become unaddicted. If you go to one of the addiction centers, you have a 17% chance after spending 1 to 3 months there.
I just want to clarify, not 70, 17, 17. That's terrible.
17%.
Yes.
17%.
Yes.
And, well, I personally wouldn't, if I thought something only had a 17% chance, I don't think I'd try it.
Exactly.
Even if the mafia of the insurance mafia covers it. However, you can get our gamma PEMF device on our website, realholisticdoc.com. But let's talk about what it is. In an ordinary healthy person, if you're not doing anything exciting, your brain and the cells in your body they just say, "Who cares? I'm okay." You can go up and down as you desire. They have a minus 70 millivolt charge on them. But if it gets to the minus 50 or 60, they go, "Ah!" That's anxiety. If it gets down to minus 90, well, it's getting closer to death. And our device put the brain back into gamma. Gamma is, quote, in the zone. First discovered in Buddhist monks who meditate 8 hours a day. In 20 minutes, you can put your brain into gamma using our gamma PEMF. But it's good for all kinds of things. It is the best thing I've ever seen for anxiety. I had a lady this morning, and, she said her anxiety was about a 7 or 8 out of 10. So I put the gamma PEMF on her, and in 1 hour, it was down 60% already. And so she's going to, of course, take it home and continue using it, because you can use it 24 hours a day safely. Now, I wouldn't use it when I was in the shower, but other than that, you can even use it in your bed all night. You can put it under your pillow, you can put it on your belly or your chest, and you can walk around with it because it's battery powered. So the only contraindication is a pacemaker. And I wouldn't advise it in someone who's pregnant, because I don't do any kind of research in people who are pregnant. I don't do that. But for depression, anxiety, by the way, Alzheimer's disease, I've taken early Alzheimer's and in 1 or 2 weeks brought them back to normal. But my favorite story of the last several years, other than the opioid addiction, is a man who had a diagnosis. I couldn't have made the diagnosis because he couldn't talk and he couldn't stand.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was brought in a wheelchair with 2 people holding him by the arms. He couldn't put his feet on the floor. 1 month later, he walked into the clinic. Now, you don't get any better than that, in my opinion. I have taken several people who have very severe lung disease. I mean, they can't breathe. They've got an oxygen saturation of 75%. 30 minutes, bringing it up to at least 96%.
And it actually makes a lot of sense, because the idea and the concept is that there's trillions of cells in the body. So if we think of ourselves not as the singular organism that we have a certain name or a certain address, but as cells, a combination of cells, and whether those cells and organs are healthy, if you take care of those cells and organs, then you'll feel better. That kind of makes sense.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
High blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I have taken a number of people that had a blood pressure of 200 over 110 and brought it down to normal within 30 minutes. I mean, this normalizes physiology. Physiology is the electrical management, if you will,
Yes.
a mechanism of your entire body. Everything is ultimately electrical. Pain. Actually, our work started with this device and similar devices, looking at, quote, diabetic neuropathy, people who are losing the sensation in their feet and often have a lot of pain. In our first research on it, we had a man 40 years of age who had very advanced neuropathy, nerve damage in his feet. So he's lying there, and we weren't even touching him with the device, just aimed at his feet. And all of a sudden he sits up and says, Sean, what's going on? I feel as if my feet are moving. The temperature in his feet went up 12 degrees. It increased the circulation that much. So it is great for that kind of thing. In my opinion, every household should have one. And we have several families where they have 2 or 3 in the family because they don't even want to share it with other members in the family. And that's great. And of course, it's still on special. $200 off for at least another week. So go to our website, realholisticdoc.com, realholisticdoc.com. There you can find that and all the other things that we offer and talk about and do at our clinic, recognizing that October 15th will be the 50th anniversary of the first, to my knowledge, world clinic specializing in holistic medicine.
And that is worth celebrating for actually the whole year, I would say.
Well, it is indeed.
Yeah.
And interestingly, although I don't think it has anything to do with me specifically, but my favorite statement that came out recently from the International Association of Who's Who, the genius who developed holistic medicine. Now, I don't think of myself as a genius, but the concept of holistic medicine is a genius concept, in my opinion.
Now, there's a double meaning here as well. I hope you realize that, because your IQ has been in the 140s, 150s range, right?
Yes.
Okay, so technically that statement
I know,
is correct.
But I, to me, that I don't like to brag about myself. I like to brag about my products, my inventions, but not me.
Yes.
I mean, they are more important to the world, in my opinion,
But-
as long as I'm alive.
The other thing too, you said it well, because it's the genius of holistic medicine, but the holistic medicine itself as a concept is a genius, isn't
Yes, I believe that.
Yeah.
And the reason it is that conventional medicine is good. Maybe not superb, but it's good for acute illness. But when the illness becomes chronic, and in my opinion, it's chronic at 3 months,
Mhm.
but officially the definition is 6 months. But if you're not 50% better in 3 months, you aren't going to be any better in 6 months, in 3 to 6 weeks. So I say officially, at the most, if after 3 months you're wasting your money, your time, your life, energy, sticking with conventional medicine on almost anything whatsoever, hypertension, depression, anxiety, but above all, pain.
Mhm.
Now, I got into this because of the failures of conventional medicine in treating back pain. I was seeing people who had had 4 to 5 unsuccessful back operations. Now, that in itself to me is crazy. But they had it. And they were on Percodan. And they were on Valium, both drugs of which I would never give anyone chronically under any circumstance whatsoever. And so on October 15th, 1971, I said, somebody's got to find out what to do with these people. I didn't know anything about psychology or psychiatry. In fact, my favorite statement about psychiatry is when I was in medical school. On the final exam, they asked a question. List 5 characteristics of a good psychiatrist. Folks, I wrote crazy as hell 5 times. I was
That's great.
called in by the Politburo, and they threatened to flunk me. And I said, would you like me in this blank course again next year, you blank blanks? They didn't dare flunk me. And I've never changed my mind. I do think about 1% of psychiatrists are sane, and the other 99% are crazier than any patient I've ever met. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe it's only 98%. But whatever it is, psychology sucks, in my opinion. Psychiatry sucks even more. Conventional psychology is fair. It doesn't often make people worse, at least. But conventional psychiatry, you know what the number one cause of high blood pressure in this country is? Anti-anxiety drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Anti-anxiety drugs cause hypertension. About 50% of people with hypertension got there only after starting an anti-anxiety drug. Now, the one thing that antihypertensive drugs do is sap your energy. They cause chronic fatigue and erectile dysfunction, but you don't have any energy anyway. So who
And
cares?
significant depression.
Oh, and
I
significant
mean, the
depression.
correlation of depression with the chronic treatment of chronic diseases, blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol. We didn't talk about cholesterol, did we?
Well, now again, to my knowledge, the PEMF device may not reduce cholesterol, but we can control cholesterol, again, virtually 100% of the time, with non-statin drugs. You couldn't pay me any amount of money to take a statin drug. But if you take lesser than granules and, well, actually, TMG, trimethylglycine, is the best. If it's not bad, you can take 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day. If it's really high, you can take 2,000 milligrams 3 times a day safely. Occasionally, you might have to add some beta-sitosterol, but basically, I have controlled hundreds of people with down to normal cholesterol using this formula. And it's safe, and it's even good for your brain, not bad for your brain.
Absolutely. But the other thing too is, I'm finding it curious, the correlation that stress, depression, and anxiety are associated with all the other illnesses
Of
in a
course.
much higher comorbidity ratio. And there's actually science behind this. The PEMF, to me, is a wonderful device, not for a number of reasons, but one of them definitely is that it works on the root cause of what's happening on the cellular and subcellular level. And that, I'm just thinking of the body as in terms of the trillions of little batteries, so to speak.
Yeah, it normalizes the
normalizes.
electricity of your body.
Yeah.
That's what we're after.
And then with electrical, there comes comes the functional status. In other words,
Well, in the biochemistry.
and biochemistry,
And
of course,
by the way,
and neurochemistry when it comes to that, of course.
we're right now working on the next generation of another electrical device,
Mhm.
which I believe, and I'll know within about 3 or 4 weeks, we believe will raise anandamide, the normal plus. We know that already. The PEMF device says that, but I believe this electrical device will raise your serotonin, the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed wake-up hormone, and your dopamine, the really good feeling chemical, and safely. That the nice thing about it is safe. It ain't gonna cause you any problems. We've never seen a problem with it. I've used it in hundreds of people with epilepsy safely. So, in fact, I've used it, the PEMF device, in a 2-year-old with epilepsy.
Mhm.
That's how safe it is. So, anything you do can be improved with the Gamma PEMF device, in my opinion.
And speaking of other things that we didn't cover, recovery from injury, musculoskeletal, chronic
yes.
pain. But there's as many as organ systems as we have in our body. That's how many things we can talk about with this device. So I mean, it really has there's no limit to the topic as long as it's applicable to a human or
Exactly.
or a physiological being. That's just
And as I said, you can use it. You need to use it depending on how sick you are.
Yeah.
A minimum of a couple hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
But for some people, they need to use it 20 hours a day, and that's possible. The only time you can't use it is if you, well, in the shower or the bathtub. Exactly. Other than that, it's safe to walk around with it to be outside with it, to drive your car with it. All of those things are totally safe and effective. It's not a question just of safety, it's a question of efficacy.
And we're not going to go any further with this, but just the word safe and effective has been used in so many ways. But you've got to use your own judgment on that. Now, by the way, that's the last I'm going to say on the topic. We're going to move on here to continue on PEMF because it is such a beautiful thing. One other thing that I want to talk about is the correlation between this is why we use, and I recommend personally, I know you do as well, autogenic training together with PEMF device. Or if you use PEMF device, make sure you have a download or you have a copy of autogenic training and preferably the entire biogenics. Now, I know we're talking about a device here, but there's something that you can also do on your own, which is extremely powerful, which is self-regulation. And the foundation of that is indeed autogenic training. And that's something that came around in a long time ago.
Interesting. This morning I had a consult with a man I hadn't seen since 1982 or so. And he was depressed because he had lost his autogenic training.
Oh, no, it's a good reason to be depressed.
Right.
Well,
and I reminded him that not only do we have autogenic training, but we have biogenics, which is 68 different variations on this theme of what I call retraining the brain. Again, safe and again, more effective if you'll do it than any drug in the world.
And for anyone who has a biogenics program or is doing autogenic training as part of working with us, because that's actually Norm, there's not a single person who comes into our practice who might at least talk about, recommend autogenic training.
Well, I actually, once you have a consult with me, I give the recording to every patient that I see.
That's right. Yeah. I just want to say that when people do that, and that's great. And if you don't have the something to enhance then PEMF is an amazing addition, because what is gamma? Let's talk about gamma and the brain, because we've talked about it, but we have not fully explored it. Gamma is a... Oh, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Well, ideal is 40 cycles.
Yeah.
Now, theoretically, anywhere from about 38 to 100 cycles.
Right.
But what the brain likes best is 40 cycles per second. It puts the brain at total functional peace and function, period. It is, well, again, in the zone. My personal best description is, who cares? I don't care that it's raining or snowing or the government or whatever. I detach.
And the word detachment, I just want to make it very clear. We're not talking about detachment in a depressed, anxious, hey, it's all worthless type of a way. We're talking about detachment in that we don't care what craziness is going out there in the world. I'm okay.
That's all that really matters, is being okay, because that is non-stressful. The opposite of stress is, woohoo, I'm fine. That's really what it is. And that's what gamma feels like. I mean, you're not woohooing, but you're just there. It is a wonderful state of being. And, I can say that having trained my brain since 1972 with this particular technique, I could stay there at least 90% of the time. So the important thing is, remember, for next week, there's another giveaway. So look carefully, those of you on Facebook today. The grand prize, a 30-minute free consultation with me, and a package called one youth formula, one essential formula, one magnesium lotion, 5 sets of bliss oils. And the second prize is at least all of this stuff except the consultation with me. So tune in, stay tuned, and stay alert, and we will be with you again right after the break. So, any questions?
Yes. Okay. First question was, how does the PMF help insomnia?
How does the PEMF help insomnia? Well, first of all, it stops worry warding. It quiets down anxiety and stress, and you can even turn it to delta frequency. And delta frequency does help you go to sleep. That's what you should go through normally to get there. Well, you can push third button, and there you are in delta.
And I want to expand a little bit on delta here for a sec. Delta is the frequency between 0 and 3 cycles per second. By the way, that's same frequency where most of our relax mates are, which is visual
Yes.
flashing lights. It's called, there's something called audio visual entrainment, and I want to talk briefly about that. Combination of audio and visual is together stronger than either or. But when you have certain frequencies, it's called the binaural beats. And one of these days, I want to dedicate a show to binaural beats, because that's a fascinating topic that we haven't talked about, because that's really the language of the brain. If you want to understand how your brain works, there you are, right there.
Right.
And we have all of this recordings and frequencies with that baseline brain support, binaural beats, and gamma, by the way, gamma, which is the optimal.
Yeah, the music has gamma in it.
Exactly. And then there's the program itself, which is fantastic. But so we talked about sleep. Delta is the 0 to 3 cycles per second. And what that does is it allows stage 3 deep relaxed sleep. And if you want to focus on that, that's great. But for some people, and I sometimes for me, I have to put it on gamma. And then kind of really puts me in a place where...
To relax you so that you go into gamma.
Yes.
Into delta.
And for me, it's hard to relax in general. My brain is generally everywhere, so
slightly overactive.
Slightly overactive. Yeah, it helps to get things done, but that's another question, or or comments or thoughts.
It says, Dr. Shealy, I can turn my mic on so you can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
It says, Dr. Shealy, please advise regarding the adrenoscalar.
Adrenoscalar. That's
yes.
A different frequency. That is actually the frequency in empty space throughout the universe. And according to quantum physicists, in empty space, the size of a helium molecule, to me the smallest possible physical creation, there's enough energy to boil the world's oceans. Adrenoscalar is putting out that scalar energy amplified with sapphire. Sapphire, interestingly, is a greater magnifier of electromagnetic energy even than quartz.
And quartz is used in watches. I have quartz right here, as a matter of fact.
But the adrenoscalar reduces free radicals. That's its greatest benefit. Free radicals are the chemical destruction of cells in your body, and so it does reduce free radicals quite significantly.
Okay, the follow-up question is, are the sapphires encased in gold?
The sapphire is a crushed sapphire. There's a jewelry grade sapphire, and then there's the healing type sapphire. Yeah. And it has to do with the surface area.
Yeah. And we will be talking about that within a week or two.
We will. Yeah. That's exciting, by the way. Yeah.
That's the most exciting, one of the most exciting. We have lots of exciting things. Life is fun, exciting, yes. Not depressed, exciting.
That's the key. Yeah. Anybody else out there?
Another question is, does your store sell, and excuse me, I'll try this the best I can.
Please.
Trimethylglycine? Yes.
TMG, trimethylglycine. Yes, we certainly do. Trimethylglycine is a wonderful supplement. We use it for various purposes, primarily metabolic support, but there's other benefits to it too.
Yeah, but it's best is lower cholesterol safely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We've got about 30 seconds about 45 seconds until we come back in. Do you want another question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Another question, yeah.
It says, can you explain what the gamma waves? Is it a form of electric wave that you create with your system?
Yes. Actually, in normal, healthy people, you can produce all the frequencies from 5.83 to 56.81. That is a sweep of the normal background frequency of the body. And all of that is included in the gamma sweep.
It's actually wonderful. We didn't know about gamma when we created the device.
Exactly.
But it's just a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Norm Shealy and Dr. Shealy-Sorin.
So now we're back with you, and we'll take your questions on the line, the telephone, 417-447-1777. Please give us a call. You can ask anything. We will try to answer it holistically. And holistically means in tune with your spiritual ideals.
I do want to make a quick announcement. Last week, you made an announcement that I wasn't here because I had to do something. So I just want to say happiness. And happiness comes in many ways. One of the ways a beautiful thing happened, my wife and I got reunited with our daughter. She's now home. She was in Ecuador for a while, but it's such a beautiful, amazing thing. And now that I'm looking at this situation here now, having a kiddo to support and just bring up in the world, hopefully the right way, because there's so many wrong ways to go about these days. And like I said, I'm not going to go any further with that either because we want to stay on the air. But it's a wonderful opportunity to learn to do some really great things since a young age. So I'm going to start her on all the entire things: biogenics, autogenic training, devices, and everything else. It's just a wonderful thing for a young person.
And she is, by the way, a lovely young lady.
Wonderful. Yes.
Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Well, hello. I was just calling because I had recently purchased one of your PMF devices.
Good.
And I am a holistic RN and a life coach. So I deal a lot with people that have depression, and I try to do it in a very holistic fashion. But obviously, I'm not a doctor, so I don't really go too much into the physical angle. But I do think that this would really help my clients. So what would you suggest? When I have a coaching client, I'm often dealing on the emotional side of that and embodiment work and stuff. How would I bring this into my practice? Like how much should I suggest that they wear it? Would it just be during a session, which is only, once a week or once every other week?
Well, interestingly, if they're really bad depressed, they may need to buy one or rent one. If they have a consultation with us, they can rent one so they don't have to buy it outright. However, there is one other thing always worth thinking about. That is tryptophan and B-complex and lithium orotate. I gave a talk on this at a national meeting back in the mid-'70s. And within 24 hours, the National Enquirer picked it up and ran it as a front page article. And within 24 hours, the country was sold out of tryptophan. So depending upon their size, anywhere from 3 to 7 grams of tryptophan in the morning.
Yes.
With anywhere from a minimum of 5 to 20 milligrams of lithium orotate and at least 25 milligrams of B-complex. That will raise serotonin naturally.
I'd like to also jump back into the question as well. So if you're an independent practitioner, you're trying to do the right thing by a client, yes, definitely have a device in your practice, and you can certainly utilize it in that fashion. If you want to get in touch with us, get in touch through the website or email, I should say, drsdrs@realholisticdoc.com, because I'd like to help you help your clients. And there's certain ways that we maybe can help you be more effective and vice versa. Give us let me know, and let's connect.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and so I missed you said vitamin B. I just wanted to jot that down. I'm familiar with using tryptophan.
Yeah, B1, B2, B4, and B6. Yeah, but just B-complex.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just reach out then personally, and you guys can help me with that on the supplement side too, because I do recommend supplements, but I'm not a doctor. You guys are. So
well, you can always quote us.
Okay.
Look forward to hearing from you and seeing you. Perfect.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Delighted to call.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. And now is your turn, 417-447-1777, or we will continue talking about the most important thing in the world, your whole life, period.
Absolutely. This thing about optimization, to me, I'm going to step back and look at conventional medicine through conventional medicine, period. It sucks. It sucks in so many ways. Why? Because it was never meant to be great. It was never designed to be great, so we can't expect things that are great from it. In other words, by definition, it's all about maintaining chronic care. So how do you disrupt the cycle of having something that is chronic and terrible and ongoing? And by the way, anyone with a chronic illness, please listen carefully. Whatever the chronic illness is, mental, physical, definition of insanity, Einstein. Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So if you're getting a prescription after a prescription, whether it be for whatever purpose, and you're still not getting better, and it may be helping to maintain something. Do we have a caller?
Yep. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
I'm on the air.
You're on the air, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Hi.
I'm calling back other sessions where you was on there. You said about castor oils. Was that to prevent cataracts, or if you have cataracts?
Well, to dissolve early cataracts. Now, once they got advanced, it's not going to dissolve them properly. But in the early stages or even medium stages, 1 drop of pure United States, get it at a drugstore, pure castor oil, 1 drop in each eye every day, totally safe and excellent for reversing cataracts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think one time you said, it's a good idea to put the drop in there and then go to sleep. And
that's correct. Absolutely.
Maybe it just stays in there longer that way.
Exactly.
You got it. That's it. Perfect.
Okay, well, thank you.
Hey,
you're welcome.
For calling. Good question. Now is your turn for 1-7-447-1777.
Yep. So kind of jumping on a slightly different track, so to speak, from before. Here's loosely related to conventional and acute and all sorts of care. Where does the primary responsibility for the health and wellness lie? Is it in the system? Is it in the doctor? Or is it in yourself? And because that is the difference. And this is where we're talking about being proactive. This is where we're talking about the devices and all sorts of things that help. But the person has to want to be better, because we can't do it for them. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
And be willing.
That's right.
Really, let's talk about what is not health. There are 5 major causes of disease other than anxiety and depression. At the top of the list is excess weight. In fact, the number 1 cause of early death is true obesity. Now, true obesity is 40 pounds or more over your ideal weight. 72% of Americans are overweight, 36% are just plain fat. That's obese people. And the second greatest current cause of early death is still smoking. 22% of adults still smoke. The third is eating, on average, 2.2 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And ketchup and French fries are not a vegetable. It is eating real vegetables and fruits. If you eat less than 5, you are at great risk. I start my day with 20 or more. I can't get by without that. I've been on it so long now, I would feel starved without it. But the average person is getting 2.2. So at least get yourself the Nature Blessed Tart Cherry Juice Concentrate and take at least 2 tablespoons of that a day. That'll put you up at least to minimum. And of course, there is ORAC, O-R-A-C, Enhanced Energy.
Yep.
And 1 scoop of that gives you another 6 servings. I mean, it's just a tiny little scoop, and it's worth it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Next is exercise. People who sit all day and don't do some kind of planned exercise 30 minutes, 5 days a week are the same risk as someone who smokes a package of cigarettes a day. And 5 is sleep. It is absolutely essential to your health to sleep 7 or 8 hours. People who sleep 6 hours or less function at the level of, quote, slightly drunk. And they have more automobile accidents than alcoholics and drug addicts combined. So these are the absolute base. They are almost as important as breathing. Now, I would like to add to that, of course, water. At the top of my list for nutrition is water. But if you live in a city of Springfield, and 72% of Americans live in cities as poison as this one, you must get a filter to get rid of the fluoride. Our fertility rate has decreased from 150 million in men to 40 million. If we do not get rid of fluoride within the next 20 years at most, there won't be any more babies, period. So it has been poisoning the nation now since about the early 1940s.
Let me just jump in here. The concept of lifestyle. When I say essentials, what are the things that any human being, no matter what your age, no matter where you are, no matter what does any being need? You need essentials, lifestyle. You either, one of my favorite things now, I'm going to take that over, by the way, if you don't mind, it's a statement, lifestyle. Either you have it or you don't. It's that simple. And what is your lifestyle? In other words, again, decisions and choices. And one thing that I'm going to say, since if I have a little time between calls, is, and I'm going to speak for myself too, because some days I'm not that great. But on those days that I don't do what I should be doing, I have to realize that it's my choice not to do the right thing. And I have to take responsibility and accountability for that, and to say, okay, what am I going to do next time? How do I prepare myself so I have a system, or, here's the crazy part, a lifestyle, a style of life that will support me in health and wellness. Isn't it kind of simple, but absolutely...
And it's a healthy lifestyle.
Healthy lifestyle, that's right. Yeah, but it's a decision, and unless I'm telling me, you've had a lot of more decades than I have on this, but I think I got the concept pretty much down cold here. Unless a person decides that it's important to do things for health, they're certainly going to go the way of illness, and the healthcare system is basically failing.
But there's nothing that any holistic help can help you if you're not willing to do it. I can't do autogenetic training for you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't drink real water for you. I can't breathe for you. I can tell you how to breathe, but I'd hate to have to, guide you breath by breath.
There's another crazy thing. What are we willing to spend our time, energy, and resources on? Because here's a question. I had a client, not today, but a few days, who was spending hundreds of dollars on nerve agents, nerve drugs, pain drugs, also, and depression, and didn't have insurance, by the way. Here's the crazy part. But was spending hundreds of dollars a month on that, but was not willing to invest in supplements because it costs too much, and was not willing to do a rental on the PEMF or anything, with the understanding and knowledge. And I spent over an hour there, by the way, explaining how we can get him off of all those substances. And he had also had a blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, the whole works that goes with anxiety, depression, and stress. In other words, the entire pattern. It's all about patterns. But it's absolutely fascinating to me that it is indeed a choice. And I'm gonna just basically say it out loud. You have to choose who you are, how you live your life, what the outcomes are, and just realizing there's options, and there's good options out there.
And each health is really health or illness.
Health or illness. That's right.
So
yeah,
everything you do and every thought that you have, almost every word that you think, is important in whether or not you're going to stay healthy. Now, the PEMF device can help you calm down those unnecessary or abnormal thoughts. It can help you focus on happiness as an inside job. And it is an inside job. And the PEMF, even though it's outside your body, helps your inside job normalize. That's what it's best for. And it doesn't matter what it is. I can't think of anything at the moment which hasn't been helped to some extent by returning to normal gamma frequency. And that is the normal frequency of the brain at rest, not at sleep, but at peace. Peace is where you want to be, and that is gamma peace.
There's a very wonderful, beautiful thing that I want to express, but I want to make sure I express it the right way, because this can be easily misunderstood. So I want to be very careful with this. Now, I'm not going to get into discussion of religion per se, because every person has their own understanding, and I'm not here to tell people what to believe or what to think. But the idea and the concept of heaven and hell being a bad thing, heaven being a good thing, or pleasant or unpleasant, if you look around on our life on earth and just look for analogies, some people live in constant hell. whether it's pain, anxiety, depression, chronic illness. And some people are living constant heaven. They're happy, they're healthy. And it's interestingly, in the same family, you can have a person sharing space who are in two different places, so to speak. So that is also a decision to be in your personal hell or your personal heaven here in a physical form.
Yes.
I mean, as well. And that's a big thing, because we have to realize that if we don't make a choice, we're making a choice not to be better. That's just simple to me. No?
Well, to me, the choice is to be at peace.
At peace, yeah.
That is heaven. And that is contact with the divine and your concept of what the divine is. Not mine, yours. And every moment is important, not just 1 or 2 hours or 10 minutes a day. It's 24 hours a day.
Life is in the present. That's correct. And how do you get in the present? What is it like to be in the present moment? That's gamma. That's gamma.
But to be at peace,
yeah,
you use automatic training as a baseline. My arms and legs are heavy and warm. And we have a phone call. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hi, my name. Hello.
Yes, hi. What can we do for you?
Well, I have a couple questions. I own the PEMF machine. I guess that's what you're calling it.
Yes, PEMF.
And
gamma PEMF. Thank you.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I've been using it and offering it to friends and people to practice with, but my husband has early cognitive decline. They're saying it's probably due to lack of blood flow to the middle part of the brain. So would you use the gamma with him, or would you use the scan part?
I would use
Which
the
would you think is...
I would use the scan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's
the first one.
That's what I've
And be sure that he's getting at least 25 milligrams of B complex. That is
okay.
equally important.
He was taking the B complex, but he didn't like how he felt on it, so he stopped taking it.
Well, here's the question. Vitamin B. It's an essential energy supply so that the cells can do what they need to do. Without that support, and the food is terrible in terms of what the nutrition holds, it's kind of difficult to maintain your brain structure without certain basics.
And he needs to use it on his head at least 2 hours a day.
The PEMF, that is, yeah.
2 hours a day. Okay.
Yeah, it could be all day, but the minimum is 2 hours a day.
Actually, sometimes the easiest thing is just put it up at the dashboard or headboard at the bed and just let it just do work
all night.
All night, really.
Yeah, well, I let it work on me all night. I guess I have to share.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's the hard part. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he hasn't been as open to it. He just this past week started to use it some. So.
Oh, well, again, the worst case I ever saw was improved markedly within a month by using it 2 to 3 hours a day.
Okay.
And I'll just say this. It's never too late to start making a difference. Never too late. There's always hope.
Right.
That's the key word, I think. Hope.
Hope. I agree with that. So the second question I have is about a friend with seizures. Would you use it on the gamma or the scan?
Again, I would use the scan. But if they have seizures, I would give you 10 to 1 odds they need L-tyrosine. Well, brains are wonderful when they work. Taurine, Taurine.
Yeah.
If they're an adult, they need at least 4,000 milligrams a day of taurine and magnesium lotion, 2 teaspoons twice a day. I have treated numerous people with epilepsy just with taurine and magnesium lotion.
And may also want to look into if it's appropriate for the state, if it's legal. There is a CBD, which is actually open across all 50 states, and that can help. But I think it's medical cannabis is a proper incapacity. In other words, you can do that for all sorts of things, including seizures, and so that's another option as well. But again, something to consider. There's many things.
Okay, I have read about that.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't use technology, so I Told her I asked. Then this other person that I know who she used it like just on her chest for maybe 10 minutes and then she got a headache. Do you think she was dehydrated or?
Using on the chest for 10 minutes and then getting a headache.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
I
but
would-
not typical, no.
But it's possible. I guess, I would want to know a lot more about his history and whether he's drinking adequate water and whether he's on any drugs.
Well, hydration is certainly the key factor
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
She doesn't do any drugs. She does have something in her lungs, which is why she put it on her chest.
Mm-hmm.
She's had it for years and years. They said it's probably not cancer, but she does minimal medical intervention, so they don't really know what was on her scans. But she was just looking for alternative options. So
Wonderful, and that's ultimately, I think it could help, but certainly time will tell.
okay. Well, good. Well,
I
thank
would
you
not
for answering
hesitate
my
to-
question.
I would not hesitate to use it again.
Yeah.
I will encourage her
Thank you.
to.
Absolutely.
I
And
will encourage her to try again.
and if she may try a different position or something, on from the back or otherwise, but there's some, just kind of play with it, work with it, and then see what happens. Should help.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah.
And folks, the ultimate thing is you are the one in charge of your health and your life. Every aspect of it is your decision, not ours. We're happy to guide you, but we can't do it for you. If you're willing to do it, the chances are you can markedly improve every aspect of your life just by having the essential habits, which we've talked about many, many times. You got to have those, and taking certain supplements, because in today's polluted world, you can't get by with just food. I read one of the most frustrating articles this week about what the food industry are doing to food. I mean, I've always said that 80% of food is not worth eating, and now I'm beginning to think it may be closer to 90%, because they put in artificial this and substitutes that, and aluminum cans, and just junk.
It's almost as if the external world is trying to poison the humanity.
I think they just, well, I prefer to call them stupid, but I hope it's not planned. But the important thing is we are meant to be healthy, and we are responsible. Now, if you had a painful, abusive childhood, then you need help in getting back to normal. But if you had nurturing parents, and if you are nurturing your children, the chances are they will wind up healthy, happy, and productive. That's the foundation, is nurturing parents. The most important thing in the world for happiness and well-being. And at least I know your mother is a wonderful person.
And she's absolutely wonderful. And we'll do the best to provide for the kiddo the best way we can as well. So
Until next Wednesday, y'all have a good one.
Yep. Do you want to see what?
Yeah, any other questions?
Are
No.
there any radioactive
No.
materials in PEMF? The answer
Absolutely not.
is no. That's correct. Yeah. I just want to expand a small thing on that. Holistic medicine. The whole purpose is do the right thing, don't do the wrong thing. That's just as simple as that. So nothing that we touch will have any intentional harm or any known harm that we're aware of. Unlike some other things out there. That's no.
And the last question, most of the comments today were just wishing you good anniversaries and thanking you for your comments and thanking you for all the information. That was most of the comments.
Thank you.
today.
Yeah, there's A few there, yeah.
The last question was, will it help with AD?
Yes, ADHD. I have a number of children who've been markedly improved using the PEMF device. They need to use it at least an hour a day and up to 2 hours.
All right. That seems to be all the questions.
Well, folks, we enjoy being with you today, as every Wednesday. And so enjoy and have a good one.
And stay tuned for the next week, because we're going to continue with the celebration of the, golden anniversary of holism. And I do want to say, I want to take a minute, even though Dr. Shealy might not be comfortable with statements acknowledging his accomplishments on a personal level, but I do want to say that there is a real genius sitting right here in this chair, not only for, and I can say it because I'm seeing the truth. First of all, anyone with an IQ of 140 to 150 is by definition a genius. Okay, so we have that, and he's holistic. So the statement is actually is a very true statement. Second thing, the concept of holistic medicine is genius compared to conventional medicine. And by the way, conventional medicine is not much to boast about. So
except for acute illness.
Acute illness, yeah. And third of all, if you personally start to engage and start looking at yourself in a holistic way and beyond the conventional medicine, I'm going to say that you're entering the category of genius, because this is it's the right thing to do. It's the right genius concept. So welcome to the family.
Be a genius.
Be a genius.
Do holistic.
Yes. I thought you'd appreciate that. Thank you. I think we're, yeah.